You ever get that really weird feeling, that sense of deja vu, maybe watching the news or just going about your day, that you've seen this all before? That we've all been here before? It's a feeling a lot of us are having right now, so let's really dig into what it might mean. I mean, you can't deny it, right? So many of us are looking around at the 2020s, and it just feels so much like the 1920s and 30s. The same kind of polarization, the same economic jitters. It's more than just a coincidence. It feels like the same energetic season is circling back around, only this time maybe the stakes are even higher.
And this whole thing, it's not just about what's happening out there in the world. We feel it in our own lives, too. Come on, think about it for a second. How you keep finding yourself in the exact same argument, or drawn to the same type of person in relationships, or hitting the same wall of self-sabotage, no matter how much you swear you've learned your lesson.
So that brings us to the big question, doesn't it? Are we, as a culture and just as people, are we really stuck? Is this all just a broken record playing on repeat? Or could something else be going on? Could this be more of a spiral where, yeah, the same themes come back, but each time we get a shot to respond from a totally new place of awareness? This really leaves us with two totally different ways to look at reality. Are we trapped in a flat circle, just going round and round? Or are we actually climbing an evolutionary spiral? Let's break down what that really means. Okay, so on one hand, you've got the flat circle. This is the idea that history is just this endless, repetitive loop. Boom and bust, war and peace, and we just never really break out of it. But then you have this other idea, the evolutionary spiral. And this one says, yes, the same big themes come back, order versus chaos, freedom versus control, but every time they return, it's a chance to integrate something we missed the last time around. It's a chance to level up. And here is the absolute key. We've all heard the saying, those who don't remember the past are condemned to repeat it. But what if remembering just isn't enough? It's actually well established that just knowing the history or knowing your own psychological patterns doesn't really change anything on its own. We can have all the facts in our head and still somehow reenact the exact same traumas. Something deeper has to shift. So how do we even begin to make that kind of shift? Well, we can start by seeing these cycles not as a prison, but as a test. And this happens in our dreams just as much as it does in our waking lives. There's a really powerful example from dream practice that shows us how this works. You see, advanced dream masters, they understand that some recurring nightmares aren't just random bits of anxiety. They're echoes. They are patterns trying desperately to get our attention. Take the story of Philip, who kept having the same nightmare over and over, one that felt like this horrible, unavoidable destiny. So night after night, he would dream of this girl falling from a cruise ship. And in the dream, he was completely helpless, just a bystander to this tragedy, again and again and again. To him, it felt like a prophecy, something he was just doomed to witness. But here's the twist. What if the repeating dream isn't a prediction of a fixed future? What if it's an invitation? We know from practice that in these kinds of layered realities, even tiny shifts in our own perspective can ripple out and actually change the probability of what happens next. The dream isn't really about the girl. It's about the dreamer's response to it. And this idea connects perfectly to a really profound psychological tool from the philosopher Nietzsche. He posed this question, and it's a heavy one. Imagine that you had to live this exact life, with every single moment of joy and every single moment of horror, over and over again, forever. Could you honestly, truly say yes to that? This is what's known as the eternal recurrence test. And the whole point of it isn't about wishing you could change what happens to you. It's a gut check. It's a way to measure your own internal response, your ability to inhabit the life you actually have with a sense of wholeness and acceptance. So why do these loops keep showing up in our lives and in the world? It's because they're pointing to something unresolved, a part of ourselves or our culture that's been split off, pushed away, ignored. The cycle just keeps repeating, hammering on the door until we finally bring that fragmented piece into our awareness and integrate it. Okay, I know this can all sound pretty high level and philosophical, but we can bring this right down to earth. How do we actually start rewriting our own personal patterns right now? All right, here's a really simple but incredibly powerful practice. It's called cycle tagging. Step 1, just identify one of your repeating patterns. Maybe it's burning out at your job every 6 months, or getting into that same exact fight with your partner. Step 2, label it. But, and this is important, don't label it like it's some personal failure. Call it a season. For instance, here we are in my season of avoidance, or this is my winter of control.
Just doing that creates a little bit of space, enough for you to observe the pattern instead of being completely consumed by it.
Now, once you've tagged your cycle, you bring in the test. You ask yourself this really honest question. If this is how I react, how I speak, how I think, every single time this season comes back around, would I be willing to live out that specific reaction for all of eternity? And if the answer is no, and let's be real, for a lot of our reactions it will be no, the next move isn't to try and force some massive change. The goal is to find just one small shift. What is 1 degree softer, 1 degree more honest, 1 degree more integrated response that you could say yes to, that you could affirm living over and over again? That's it. That's your entry.
So you see, this whole thing isn't about trying to fix history or become some perfect version of yourself overnight. It's about something much more subtle. It's about learning how to wake up while you're still inside the dream, while you're still in the middle of the cycle.
And listen, it's okay if this feels big. This isn't about you carrying the weight of the entire world on your shoulders. Just think of it like this. Your consciousness is one tiny pixel in a much, much larger image. By changing your own small, repeatable response, you're literally changing the whole pattern, 1 pixel at a time.
And that's really the heart of it all. You are not just some passive character stuck inside the loop. You are the dreamer, and you are actively learning how to wake up within it. Every single time a pattern comes back, it's just another chance to practice a response that's a little more lucid, a little more compassionate than the last time. So I'll leave you with a question to carry with you. Looking at the patterns in your own life, right here, right now, in whatever season you're in, what is one response that you are willing to live again and again?